Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
Welcome to the bonus show. Google. Let's talk about Google. They just signed a 60-year lease on an airfield and hangars owned by NASA. 1,000 acres of land, 3 hangars, 2 runways, and a golf course. And this is about a $1.16 billion deal. And we don't really know what is going to happen here. Google says that there will be some funding towards restoration of this of one of these 80-year-old hangars known as Hangar 1. And yeah, I guess they plan to work on something big because that's a lot of space. What do you think will be going on here?
I have no idea. I mean, it would be, I don't know that Google is going to be developing aircraft necessarily, but it seems more likely that they would be increasing the size of their aircraft fleet and having the need to store more aircraft. That seems quite likely. I think that Sergey Brin and Larry Page have at least one airplane that they use, so that seems like the most likely thing. But I would imagine an increase in the Google fleet of aircraft.
Google is working on so many different things. And, you know, we don't hear about a lot of them because it's just that, I don't know, I guess they like to keep it on the down low. But this is pretty interesting. And they say that they're going to spend about $200 million on improvements on the property, creating an educational facility that allows the public to learn about the airfield's role in history and the technology of Silicon Valley. Yeah, so I guess, you know, this will be open to the public in some ways. But what will they be doing? Exactly, I don't know. They are involved in a lot of shady stuff. And, you know, not that this is necessarily one of those things.
No.
But it's pretty interesting.
I think it's pretty common for big companies to have planes, and Google often wants to really just kind of control the whole vertical integration. So why not have the hangar and the airfield as well?
Yeah, yeah. All right, now I want to talk about something mind-blowing. David, you are aware of Alibaba.
Yes.
Okay. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Alibaba's IPO, which I believe happened maybe a month ago or less than a month ago, made the owner or the CEO of Alibaba the richest man in China. Is that how it went down?
I
Do you recall that?
I believe so.
Yeah. And for those who don't know what Alibaba is, I guess I would kind of call it's kind of like Amazon, isn't it?
In a way it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Chinese Amazon. And I guess China has a day called Singles Day, which was Tuesday or last Tuesday. And Singles Day is kind of the Chinese equivalent of Cyber Monday, I guess you could say. And something incredible happened here. Alibaba reported $9 billion in sales on this one day. Now, if you didn't know, you know, if you had never heard of Alibaba and you saw this story about this Chinese company, would you even believe that? Is that even a believable number?
I mean, I guess if you knew nothing about anything, you might say it sounds like 9 billion in a day is a lot, but if you consider the Chinese population and the popularity of Alibaba, of course it's believable.
But still, that is such a huge number. 9 billion in sales, 9.3 billion in one day.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And a lot of people are talking about, you know, this shows China's buying power, and this is, I don't know, somehow is something important. I just think it's something interesting. I don't know how important this really is. I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
Oh, I think it is really important because we see now as the middle class, as there is more and more money in China, the buying power and the strength that the Chinese market has internationally continues to increase. So I think that this is hugely important. And yeah, I mean, I think that in the same way that we in the US are often accustomed to products being labeled in English and kind of designed for an American audience, and other countries that get them are kind of understanding that these are mostly designed for the US, or at least for the English-speaking world, there may be a role reversal at some point where it will become more economical, that there will be this kind of Chinese version of things, and that's the primary version. And we, if we want to participate, are just going to kind of have to deal with the fact that we're not the primary target. It's really designed, this is the Chinese version, and we in the US can use it if we want.
Yeah, maybe that's how things will happen. But $9 billion in sales on a single day. Incredible. There must have been some pretty good deals. And if the deals are that good, that just shows you how much stuff was really purchased. Because, you know. All right. Now, here's a little disclaimer. I'm going to talk about Interstellar here. There are going to be possibly some spoilers.
So to be clear, you're talking about the movie Interstellar.
The movie Interstellar. So if you have not seen it and you are worried about me possibly spoiling things for you, I'm going to try my hardest not to. But if you're worried about that, now would be the time to stop listening. But I just wanted to talk about my experience with the movie and an article I'm reading here. There are really lots of articles about the movie and how people have problems with the movie. And I'll start by saying that I thought it was an interesting movie. I guess it was an enjoyable movie. I don't think it's a great movie. And I don't think it's even close to a great movie. I think there's a lot about it that is kind of forced and awkward, and it's a movie that's trying to be too many things. And the part I disliked the most about it was that I just thought that the science in it, I didn't find it believable. And if you take Christopher Nolan's movie Inception, it's pretty over the top. But it could be argued that the whole movie was a dream, or that, there's some gray area. I had an easier time suspending my disbelief with Inception than I did with Interstellar.
Well, Neil deGrasse Tyson did a whole analysis of Interstellar, and it contains maybe some explanations for some of your understandable skepticism here.
Well, what were his thoughts on? I mean, did he say that everything in this is plausible?
No, having not seen the movie yet, I didn't read it on purpose.
Okay, because I believe that he has issues with this movie.
Yeah, I think he does.
And that's a good thing. Let's get into some of this. There is traveling through wormholes in this movie, and there is also going into a black hole in this movie. And the movie deals a lot with the relativity of time and time dilation and all that, and that's cool. And I don't have a problem with that. That's a real thing. But I talked to my friend about this, and I'm like, I just don't find the science believable. And he said, well, they had physicists who, on hand they talked with, and, they helped with the screenplay. And, but, after reading this article, it seems like what happened was Nolan went out and found a couple physicists who have some radical theories and what some people would call pseudoscience about black holes and stuff, who, this guy happened to agree with Nolan and what Nolan wanted to achieve. This was the guy to talk to.
Right.
So here's a physicist who a lot of other physicists don't agree with.
It's like doing a movie on climate change and basing the science of it around the 1% of scientists who believe it's a farce.
Exactly. And that's why, I have some issues with this. When I see a person in an aircraft, a little aircraft enter a black hole and then, eject from his aircraft and end up in some, what is being called a tesseract with, moments in time in front of him. It's just, I'm like, no, I don't think so. I'm no physicist, but this is not possible.
But is that a big thing for you? In other words, there are many movies that are completely fantastic in terms of their connection to the real world. And then there are certain movies that play it closer to the science as we know it. Is it important for you that a sci-fi movie have science that feels more logical to you? In other words, it could just be made up, right?
Yes. And like I said, there's a line you have to toe. And this one just is so over the top. It took me out of the movie. I mean,
kind of like when I saw The Day After Tomorrow, and I was like, this is just absurd.
Okay, perfect example. I mean, everyone has their limits, and everyone has their, a certain level, of suspending their disbelief when it comes to movies. But if you get pushed over that line, you are taken out of the movie, and you end up thinking this is just nonsense. And that's what happened for me with Interstellar.
Okay, now let me give you a different example. Star Wars. You like Star Wars, right?
I like Star Wars.
And that contains so many elements that are obviously not based in any science that we understand now. So what is it that doesn't ruin the movie for you about what's in Star Wars? Is it that the entire premise is that this is a completely different place and time and everything is game?
Well, let's see. Star Wars is just a more of I wouldn't call it a sci-fi movie necessarily. I think it's more of a fantasy movie. I think it's more outrageous and unbelievable. I don't think it's a movie that's trying to be a really intelligent and really scientific movie, whereas Interstellar is.
So basically, you're assessing how scientific you interpret the movie to be from the point of view of the producers.
I guess you could say that. It's like a feeling. It's like the feeling of the movie. It's just like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, all right.
I mean, you wouldn't compare Star Wars to 2001 in any way, shape, or form, right?
Absolutely not.
They just have a completely different feeling. And I think that the feeling in this movie is more like the feeling in a movie like 2001, but it just, like I said, I'm just taken out of the movie. So let me know if you agree with me on this. And people are upset that Nolan was using pseudoscience from people who, have, an opinion that isn't so popular in the world of physics in coordinating with him on this movie. And it took me out of the movie. But anyway, yeah, please let me know what you think about this. Let me know if you agree with me, if you haven't seen it and you listened to this anyway. I'm sorry if I ruined anything for you. I don't think I did.
No, you didn't give away any of the plot.
Yeah, it's still worth seeing. But I just don't think it's a great movie. Yeah, that's it. That's my rant. Thanks for listening.
Get your calendars, your membership discount calendars, davidpakman.com/calendar members 15. Password is Hatriot15. We're already going to have to, I think, make another order because the orders keep coming in and members get a big discount on them. So check it out.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.